Hello guys, welcome back, and in this module we are going to speak about authentication and how to authenticate your API. So without further ado, let us dive in and see how to do this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to create an auth controller that will be used for authentication. So I just say PHP artisan, say my controller, and this is going to be auth controller like this. So once we have created this controller, of course, we'll need, for now, we'll do a basic authentication where we'll create 3 authentication methods, and that is the register, the login, and the logout. So let us dive in and see. So in our controller Z, I'll go inside the auth controller, and now let us work on the register method first. So I'll say public function register. And on this method, if you think of it, of course, we need a request to get the user data. So I'll say request. And then the first thing, of course, we need to validate user data. And then we need, of course, to store the user data. And lastly, we need to respond. Basic validation that we need to do for storing. And if you remember, now we have what we call the store request there. Or let me just do this. For validating the user data, I can say that I'll get the request. And for this request, I'll call validate. Need to pass an array inside this guy. And then in our guy here, what I can do will validate the name. Name will be required, and then it needs to be a string like that. Then maybe we can say max of this string should be 255 like that. And then we also need, of course, the email. And here I'll say the email will be the email instead of a string. And then I can say it needs to be unique on the users table. All right. The email needs to be unique on the users table. So we have that, and then lastly we need a password like that, and this will be a string. And also we can add maybe a confirm password. For this case, we can say confirm underscore password, and in our case, it needs to be the same as the password. So we can say that this guy here should be, can say same like this, and you can say it should be the same as password like that, and that will confirm or will validate that is the same as the password. So that is okay for now. Now on storing the user, what we can do is that one, we can be able to say that let us create the user. And the way I'm going to do this today, I'm going to say user will be equal to, and use new user, and then inside here I can pass an array. Then I'll say the name will be request input, and then the name there shall have the email will be the email that we have gotten, and then we can have the password. The password will be the password that we have here. Okay, I seem to have an error here, and that is because I've forgotten this here. Okay, for the password we can use bcrypt. Okay, not finding this one. We can use hash. I think we can use hash make. I'm not wrong, and then I can import this. So now here we'll create the user, but we have not stored the user. So the next thing we'll say is that if we save the user, so we'll say user, and we'll call the save method on the user. If we save the user, what now we want to do is to create a token result. So you need a token result should be equal to our user, and then we'll say create token, and this token name will be, let us say, maybe API token like this. And then the next thing is that we now need to get the actual token that we have created by saying token result, and then we need to call the plain text token. So this will return now the token as a plain text. And then lastly, of course, what we need to do is now we need to return response, need to return the response, and that is JSON. And then here what we can do is that this should be response. JSON here is that we can return, let me see, here we can return maybe a user, or let us see, for now we can return maybe a message, and this message will be tell the user that user was successfully, can say registered, and then we can also have a token. So I'm returning a token when the user is registered. In the case where maybe the user is maybe where you want to log in the user directly after doing the registration. And then this other guy should be now the token. Now this should return for 201 because you have done user creation. And if this fails, we can use an else statement here for now. And then, or what we can do, we don't really need an else statement because we're returning this inside this response JSON inside the if. So we can just say that maybe the error, this can now be 401. Please provide proper credentials. Let's use 500 because it doesn't make sense to use 401 here. And there we have our registration method. So now going through, we validate the user, we check the name, email, password, and confirm password. And then we store the user data here, the password. Then once we have saved the user, we return the user was successfully registered with a token with 201. So let us try to do this. Let us try to actually do this. So I'll go to the API, inside the API here. Let us add a route here. So I'll go here, I'll do this for now. So I'll say route. This should be a post method, and it will go to register, and then I'll use class auth controller class, but now I believe I need to pass this inside an array like this, and see that the guy I'm going to use here is register like this, and I'm good to go. So I need to import this class now like this. So we are good now. Let us test this and see. So I'll go to tools, HTTP client, create request, post request. What am I doing? Delete this. This should be 8000 API register like this, and go inside here. This we need to have this. So we are good here. So let us run this and see. I'm going to run this. When I run this API, this is what I'm getting. Message user was created successfully, or rather user or successfully registered, and then I get a token. So this is quite cool because now by default Laravel comes with this auth sanctum and you don't need to set anything up. You just need, to do what I've done and then you'll be good to go. So that is it guys for the register. Very simple. Create the user and then save the user and then return the user's token.